People, Deluded, I'm back again. Fridays equals Q&A days, people. Obviously, before I begin, thank you very much for your questions. If I've missed you out, forgive me. There's a crap load of questions here. I've tried my best. If I've missed you out, always look on my community tab from Monday to Wednesday. Around that period, I ask you lot for your questions. Twitter, I do the same. If I've missed you out, hit up them things or simply comment your question underneath this video. If not, there isn't much I can do, but thank you for your questions, whoever you are, wherever you are, and let's not ramble, let's get straight into the thick of things. First and foremost, my guy Darkside Don has asked, man, like Jason, big up yourself, man. Them escalators at Highbury and Islington was mad, innit? But you said squad/team of the year using only one player from each Premier League team. Now that's a gazy question, my guy, and for that one there, I'm gonna have to go. I just need to look at the Premier League table so I can literally remember every team that is in the Premier League. Cause you've shagged it. You know, you've asked the most toughest question early out the blocks. I feel like Arsenal conceding a goal within the first 10 minutes of a top 6 clash with this one there. I'm not prepared for that one there, my G. But goalie, goalie. I'm going to leave the goalie thing blank for a sec, my guy. Goalie blank. Who am I going to have as my centre halves? Van Dijk, easy shoeing. You know what? Van Dijk. Do you know what it is? It's a shag with this one player thing, my guy. Van Dijk. I might have to come back to your question, my guy, man. Or I might have to comment it. That's a tough one, my guy. I should have come prepared. It's the one player thing. Using only one player from each Premier League team. I'm even mad. You're gonna have to allow me, but I'm gonna have to just insert. You know what? In goal, Dean Henderson. Dean Henderson in goal. Let me think about this. Dean Henderson in goal. Yeah. Well, everyone's been crap apart from Liverpool, really, though, and Leicester. Dean Henderson in goal. Yeah. Centre halves. Who Sheffield United got, man? God, they've been decent this year. I think we can insert one of them, man. There in. Yeah, man. Do you know what? Representing Sheffield United, I'm gonna go with. Should I go with John Egan? Because I think O'Connor has been decent, but they've got decent players in that team, man. I'm gonna go. You know, representing Sheffield United, I'm gonna go with Egan at centre half. Who did I say and go? I shagged myself already because they both play for Sheffield United. This is a draw out. Dean Henderson in goal. I can't, bro. It's impossible, bro. It's impossible. It's impossible, my guy. It's legit impossible. I'm actually trying to have a good go at your question, but it's impossible, my guy. Because there's, do you know what shags it? There's Leeds play. If I go for a defender at a certain team, I can't include other people. So you know what? I don't. It can't be done. Like it can't be done. Or I'm gonna have to attempt it and come back because I could go Johnny Evans. I could go Dean Henderson. I go Johnny Evans. It's just centre half, man. I can pick the midfield. Like it's just centre halves. I'm gonna have to come back to that one there, man. Max Aaron's at right back just so I can use other positions. That's a good question, man. I have to come back to that one. Using only one player, I think it's a myth. I think it's a myth, my guy. I don't think it's possible with only one player, man. Everyone's kind of been dead apart from like literally 4 teams. Like Liverpool, Leicester have been alright. Wolves have been doing their thing. Shout out to Sheffield United as well. Everyone's really been, I know we give Norwich a 20th at the end of the day, but we given some plaudits for some weird reason. Everton have looked okay under Carlo Ancelotti, and you've got Calvert-Lewin there. But it's the centre halves. I don't really believe in many centre halves. I'll be looking at Wolves and Sheffield and Leicester's defenders probably, and I want to use players from there. I could cheat and for no reason just say Maguire, but I would probably, if I was going to pick anyone from a United team, I'd say Fred, or like we'd probably go Bruno Fernandes if the league started in January. Good question, but a myth, my guy, man. I attempted it, man. It's like Arsenal trying to get top 4. Can't do it. But love for that. Moving forward, live from Planet X. Consistent viewer, consistent supporter. Love you, my G. Big up to yourself. I know you're in Australia. Forgive me if I'm wrong and you're not, but I know you're from them sides there. You said, hope you're well, DG. Come on, I'm Gucci. You said, considering we have few options in defence and given Torreira's injury, would you entertain David Luiz in midfield? I mean, I see your angle. If we're down to our bare bodies in midfield, we move Luiz there. You know, Mustafi's been okay since Arteta's come in. Marie, in the opportunities he's had, has done okay. And you've got Socrates as well, so we could sort it out. I would entertain it if it got to that, particularly if it was, you know, a one-off game sort of thing. Like, I don't know, but he might think, I'm going to go with Xhaka and Ceballos, and Luiz is going to do a job for me in midfield against Man City away, because we've now postponed that again. So I'd entertain it, but I'd more keep David Luiz in defence, man. I think David Luiz, until he falls off, he's in the same way you look at Arsenal's midfield and it's Xhaka and a partner, from at least Arteta's thinking. I think it's Luiz and a partner. It's either Luiz and Marie, it's Luiz and Mustafi, or Luiz and Socrates. Obviously, don't get it twisted. We need partners in midfield, in defence, to be of the same standard. If Luiz isn't there, like Mustafi and Socrates, Marie and Socrates, you know, whatever combinations. Holding hasn't had a look in, but he's in the squad in terms of being fit at this moment in time. So there's also that. But in short, I wouldn't want to disrupt what we're doing. I want to play people in their positions, at least now, because Luiz has been alright in defence. But I would entertain it if it came to it. Thomas said, when watching football on TV, who are your preferred pundits and commentators? I wouldn't say I really have one in particular, my guy. In terms of watching, it's a tough one, my guy, man. I don't really... obviously, shout out to Ian Wright. I'll always listen to what Ian Wright has to say. I wish I had access to listen to Wenger and all these other guys that are on normally Middle Eastern TV football in relation to ours. I wouldn't say there's anyone in particular, like, who I'm really like drawn to, really. I tried to watch it on mute, really. I didn't say there's anyone really that I would say are my preferred pundits or commentators. I don't mind Alex Scott. I think she's good. Sometimes Hargreaves are good commentators. Just sometimes he gets too gassed off, especially when Bayern Munich play and that. I don't actually mind Gary Neville. I can't bear him when Man United play though. Listen, if I ever meet him, I tell him he can't keep it in. He can, like, the chest, the United badge is there, man. Some of the things he says, I'm like, are you watching the same game? Don't mind Jamie Carragher. Like, I don't mind a couple people. Like, prefer the Amazon lineup really, but I wouldn't say anyone's preferred, my guy. I'd love to hear who's your preferred. So if you got a YouTube account, I'd love you to comment in the comments. If not, no hard feelings. Specialist has asked, what is our best team in our current situation? Do one when the team is fully fit and the other relative to all injuries today? You lot asked me some tough questions, but let's go with the injuries in mind and all these things first, because that's the longest one. Leno picks himself in goal. I've just bigged up David Luiz. So I'd probably go David Luiz and Mustafi at this moment in time. I'd say Marie is pushing towards becoming that partner with Luiz, and Arteta has a good headache, at least until Mustafi, drops a level, or Marie drops a level, or Luiz drops a level, because everyone's competing and doing well. But I would say Leno, David Luiz, I'd go with Mustafi at this moment in time. At right back, I'm not going to lie, like I said, if it was down to me, I know I've spoken about the Maitland-Niles thing, and you lot have got your opinions, but I'd throw Maitland-Niles at right back, at least until Bellerin's fully fit. So it'd be Maitland-Niles at right back. Left back on current form is Saka. With Brighton in mind, Tierney might come back into the fold, so I'd potentially go with Tierney. So it's either Saka or Tierney. Right now, Saka's been the man playing, so he deserves his spot. So I'd go with Saka. In midfield, it's an easy one in my opinion. You've got Ceballos and Xhaka, good partnership. Xhaka's turned his Arsenal career around to a degree. And Ceballos is having some decent bit of form since he's signed for the club, so they pick themselves. Cam is where it gets tricky. I'm not a fan of Joe Willock in that role as much as I like him. Mesut Ozil is Mesut Ozil. We don't need to get into it. There's no one else to choose from, really. I know Reece Nelson could play there, but I'll go with Mesut Ozil if I had to pick. Up front is where I really have the easiest decision. For me, you go with Martinelli on the left, Aubameyang through the middle, them and their swap. I'd actually like them to swap in games, really. I want that to develop. And I think Nelson is pushing to start, but we spent 70 odd million for Pepe. We've got to play him until we get some consistency from him. So I'd go with Pepe. If everybody's fit and whatnot, it's more or less the same team, really. Let me see if there'll be changes. I'd go Leno in goal. If Bellerin's fit, I'd play Bellerin ahead of Maitland-Niles just because that's his position. But really, that one there, it's really up for debate. At this moment in time, I'd actually go Maitland-Niles. But yeah, you know what? Leno, Maitland-Niles, centre halves Mustafi and Luiz. Left back Kieran Tierney, that's his position. In midfield, if Torreira's fit, Torreira starts for me. So I'd probably go with Torreira and Xhaka. I don't think Ceballos would necessarily lose his space out of the team. So if everyone was fit but the current context in terms of form, I'd actually play Ceballos in that role, which means Ozil's got to hold the bench. Up front, it's a difficult one. But Pepe's still got to play for me. But then you've got Bukayo Saka, who people forget can also play on the right. And I'd actually want to see the front three at some point to a degree of Aubameyang, Martinelli and Saka. Because I think Martinelli and Saka can swap roles, can begin to develop a new relationship in regards to not just being a left winger and a left back, playing on opposite sides of the fields and whatnot. You look at Mane and Salah of Liverpool. They had a bit of a connection on either side, or when one plays through the middle like Salah did, which Martinelli will do. You've got to have good relationships all over. So I'm not going to lie, Pepe probably get the edge, but Saka, I'd probably, current form, I think you play Saka. I'll give Saka a go on the right. But Aubameyang plays through the middle, and big Martinelli plays as well. So that would be my team. Easiest question of the day, but the toughest one now. Like, starting to quantify your questions, you lot are killing me. Kay just said, if or Laka go, who would be a decent replacement? It's a tough one. I'm not going to lie to you. I can sit and give you the names. Just for what he did against Spurs, Werner would be a good thing, but there's not really a striker I can say is going to bring me 20 league goals minimum. We'd have to take a risk if we're not going to spend that significant fee. Obviously, I could sit here and tell you the strikers I'm feeling in the game and whatnot, but yeah, there's not really anyone that grabs my attention. I'd probably take you look at a couple of the French strikers, you'd take a chance. I look at Daniel Marlin, you look at Badu of AZ Alkmaar, couple other players here and there, but no one really. I'm like, yeah, if money wasn't a thing and we could do it, I'd scream Martinez. Inter Milan's Martinez. I'd at least try ask for a Cardi just to see what could happen. But again, are these things realistic? Can they happen? I don't know, but that would be it, my guy. So yeah, there's not really anyone that grabs me. I always say it, but I'm looking at scouts to do their job. Go and find Lewandowski when he was in Poland. Go and find that Aubameyang where he wasn't quite the finished article, like you saw when he went to Dortmund and they changed him up and things. Go and find the next Highland and things. And these things are easier said than done, but it is what it is. There was a time, like, even a little Adebayor from Monaco and them things there. We don't even do these little signings anymore, people like that. Martinelli's probably, Martinelli's doing his thing, but we're not even doing these sort of things anymore, man. I swear I point it, it's like we were spending less money and we had players of worse technical ability, but we played better football and signed better players. I might be tweaking with that comment, to be honest, but that's what it felt like. Drifting has said, with Torreira out, we have no mobility at all in midfield. Who do you think should start in there for the rest of the season? I would like Guendouzi to get an opportunity if he earns it, but right now it's Xhaka and Ceballos until there's an injury, until there's a loss in form, because, Guendouzi has to earn his spot. There isn't really anyone of a different profile. I know Joe gets opportunities, but he gets it in the 10, so is he being looked at in the pivot? There's Maitland-Niles that has an opportunity, but based on reports on how he's training, is he going to get that? I don't know, but we're down to our bare bones. So I'd say at least until one of the young players, or relatively young players in our team, like Guendouzi and Maitland, can force an issue in Arteta's thinking, then it's Xhaka and Ceballos really and truly in that role they've been doing. Dylan has said, who was better at academy level, Eddie Nketiah or Balogun? It's going to sound cliche, both equally as good. Balogun and Nketiah, I've seen them bully people, score ridiculous finishes. At a push, it's levels, but at a push, I'd say I'll give it to Eddie, purely because I remember just seeing Eddie and Joel just bullying teams. How many videos did I make when I'm saying, why are these guys still playing under 23s? And Balogun is doing the same as well, but our point is that Eddie just banging in 3-4 goals every week, man. Balogun's doing his thing and scoring decisive goals, so it's levels, but if I had to pick, I got more memories of Eddie. But Balogun, you've seen Balogun from pre-season. He's been on crud this year, and for me, he needs to either be going out on loan, forcing an issue. He can obviously not the end of the world, but I think he's of the level he can go and test himself against senior pros now. It's not going to help him bullying these 23 defenders and that, really. Both got superb potential, and it's down to them to realise it, but it's good for the club, and I want them both to succeed, whether it's here or elsewhere. But Bogdan Gooner said, should we expect to see Aubameyang through the middle at any point this season, or is he locked into the left mid role? And if he is, does that mean Martinelli won't be getting much game time? Arteta doesn't seem to fancy him through the middle either. Can't really disagree with what you said. I don't want to draw any conclusions. I think right now, considering, you know, I think when Tierney comes back, I do think Aubameyang will still have to do a thing on the left-hand side. But I do think a bit of it is because Saka has played well at fullback for a couple of seasons now in the youth team, and that when he is called upon there, but he's not an out-and-out left-back. Saka has done well defensively, but if you was to look at his better moments in an Arsenal shirt, not through him, just he more excels in the wing-back role. It's more highlights going forward and doing his thing. He can defend, but he's not a natural defender. So maybe a bit of Aubameyang playing out there is to help him, potentially to scare fullbacks so they're not always trying to overlap. Because getting in if I'm a right-back, which I was, and I get in a foot race with Aubameyang, it's a myth. It's a myth. You might as well just stop running, call it a day, because it's a myth. Foot race with Aubameyang, you're going to look like an idiot. So maybe a bit of that is why he's playing there. You know, you never know, man. You never know. You never know. Martinelli, we've all been questioning why a man ain't playing and all these things. You don't know, man. He's a young man. Really, he's done very well to elevate to this standard and defied expectations, and he's a good player. But we shouldn't... It's a gift and a curse, both to him and the club, and a testament to him and a curse that we're saying, you know, Martinelli should be starting and stuff. But we've got to remember, it sounds cliche, but he's young. You're hearing Brazilian fans, they're getting mad he's actually not called up into the Brazilian team and that. But I don't know. I don't want to draw conclusions, man. I don't want to draw good or bad conclusions, because Arteta is having to find almost a relative quick fix and find what works, and has to do things. You know, Aubameyang, we all know through the middle he's going to do his thing, and he can do it out wide, but he's better through the middle. But for the team, it might be best if he plays there. It might be best if he does his thing there. I'm not saying I agree with that, but it might be, like with some other roles. You know, Mustafi, Socrates, all these players have been in good form and decent under Arteta. But we don't know if Arteta genuinely wants to use them in the plans, or if he's just, you know, quick fix, I've gassed you. We know we're working with what we have until May sort of thing. So I don't want to draw too many conclusions, but I'd say I want Aubameyang to play through the middle, and, you know, he probably will against Brighton now. But I'd say he faces still playing out on the left-hand side for a minute. Still, my dude. Marshall has said, do you think we can get a win at the Etihad? Well, hopefully, my guy, now that it's been postponed, we've got even more time to prepare. Hopefully, but I wouldn't bet my money on it. With Dolo has said, who in the market do you think would be a good centre-back for Arsenal to sign in the summer, bearing in mind we don't have the biggest of budgets? I wouldn't mind Upamecano if you saw what he did against Spurs, my G. I wouldn't mind Gabriel of Lille. Wouldn't mind Paul Torres of Villarreal. There's a couple, man. I should really have had my scouting notes to hand. There's a couple still. What's that lad that plays for Salzburg? Can't never say his name, so I'm not going to attempt it, but I've done a video on him. Wouldn't mind these sort of players there, my guy, really. Top targets probably be Upamecano, and even though he's got a long way to go, pardon me, and Gabriel, purely because we've done business with Leo before. But again, I hope scouts are doing their job and they can go and find that Van Dijk before he went to Celtic and all these sort of things, my dude. Moving away from that, and as usual, people, thank you for your questions. Sead has said, when do you expect Balogun to play in the first team, or do you expect him to leave in the summer? Well, I can't lie, if I was a foreign club and there's a couple I would do at Chelsea and United, but I would tempt Arsenal. We rejected a £5 million offer allegedly from Brentford, so people are watching. And if scouts had any doubt in relation to his abilities, you're seeing what he's doing. German clubs should be looking at him. It's not the end of the world if he's still playing under 23s football and stuff, but if I was him, I'd be trying to do what these other players are doing, like getting a look in the first team or going where the pathway is a bit clearer. He signed a new deal, and we've got a good thing as a club to have all these young strikers. If he keeps playing, I do think he's got a good chance of making his debut next season. a lot of factors obviously at play, but if he keeps going, you know, when Arteta, if he's not watching the 23s and 18s, when he asks these scouts for reports and who's training and playing well, you'd expect Balogun to, for obvious reasons, to be up there in terms of the list. You do that, the manager's aware of you. You're invited to train with the first team. You show up the centre halves in training. You show some healthy bravado. You more importantly, you show what Arteta wants. You get an opportunity, just like Eddie. Eddie's a bit more experienced, of course, than Balogun, but why has he got his opportunity? He stayed, he's clearly trained well, and he's been given opportunities to start in the league with Arteta. So you do that, you might have a chance, and it's lovely to have not just Eddie and Balogun, but Tyrese, John Jules, Sam Greenwood, who can play in a number of roles, Kyan Edwards to come up through the under-16s. We need these problems, my dude. So yeah, 1-1 has said, who would you bring in to take Ozil's place when he leaves, and which winger would you bring in with Aubameyang playing through the middle? In relation to a winger, it's a tough one. In relation to a centre midfielder, Vestashin, I can never say his name, but he plays for Anderlecht. He's 17. He's shown what he did at the Under-21s Championship. And in relation to a winger, you know, I want Richarlison, you know. There's other players, but I don't ever say it. Like, I really like Richarlison, and I really like Todd Cantwell as well, if we were doing a Premier League thing. You've also said, what are your long and short-term goals? Long-term, just consistently get better, just become, you know, challenge myself. How good can I make my little show that I do with you lot? What editing skills can I learn? What footballing experiences can I get? In the short term, obviously it's just... In the short term is actually, if I'm completely honest with you, to find a way to support myself while not doing a conventional 9 to 5. Because I feel like I'm at that bit now where something's got to give now. Because if I could dedicate full time into doing stuff, I could probably get a bit closer. Like there's only like you lot see the progress I make, but you lot don't see the things I have to turn down, which is quite disheartening at times. But nonetheless, we persevere, we keep going, man. You can't stop anything there. But sorry, man. Someone has asked me, would I take Emil Forsberg, but it hasn't printed your username. Nah, I think he's a decent player, but nah. Antonio Banker said, which young player are you monitoring closely at the moment? Vestajan, Doku of both of Anderlecht, can't pronounce names. Adli of Bordeaux, Baidu of Ajax, Calvin Steggs, Baidu of Ajax, Baidu of AZ Alkmaar, the same for Calvin Steggs. Unavar, Cherokee, Masuengo, I can never say his name, young Bristol lad. Quite a few, man. Just about anyone and everyone, really and truly. Ed has said, if you had the option to go abroad, be it in Europe, Asia, Africa, Americas, etc., for a scouting job, would you take it? And have you ever considered this as an option? Congrats on 20k and hope to see 20k more from a subscriber in Lagos, Nigeria. Big up yourself, my guy. And again, first and foremost, thank you for your kind words, my guy. Second of all, can't comprehend how just through YouTube and the love of football, I got people watching my thing in Nigeria, in Lagos. Like, it's a massive landmass of a country rich in diversity and millions of things to do, not just in the country and culturally, but millions of things you could do in your life. But somehow you've found my thing, and it means a lot, man. So big up to all my Nigerian fans, man, and them thing there. Thank you for Bukayo Saka. Yeah, man. By God's grace, we get 10k more. Thank you for your kind comments. But you've asked me the bulk of this. Would I take this option? Of course, my guy. I ain't really on the age thing. I'm not gonna lie to you, Kai. You know, I wouldn't mind Africa. I wouldn't mind Asia. It depends where. Not on a funny thing, but it's like, you know, I don't want to get in any problems for my colour of my skin. And, you know, I've spoken to a lot of people in my close circle. I've been to a number of countries, and it's lovely, but it's a bit mad. I'm not trying to stereotype or anything, but I'm very funny with that. Like, it's hard enough being black in London. Like, you're not the ones there, people. But yeah. In Europe, if it's a Spain thing, if it's a France thing, if it's a Portugal thing, Scotland thing, all of them, Italy, no, I'm not really on the Italy thing either, but yeah, why not? Americas, I'm more on the Americas. I don't mind anywhere in the Americas within reason. Africa, yeah, man. Man, spiritual motherland and that. How could I not take that, man? If the peas is decent, like, man can't be getting shagged and that. Like, man, in all these continents and all this job, like, man, if it's a decent salary, I can live off wherever it is, then yeah, I'll do that, man. Surprised you even asked me that question, my guy, man. Would love to do that. Would take it in a heartbeat. Would grab it with both hands, but it's what it is. Omar has also asked, thanks for your questions, people, so far. Have you ever watched back any of your vids? From time to time, but I must admit, I hate looking at myself now. I hate my voice. I just, once it's done, it's done. I very rarely watch myself back. I watch it back for improvement purposes and whatnot, of course, but in terms of leisure, no. Been getting a bit weird though. At work, I'll listen to myself. Like, I'll just be looking at my vids, generally just looking at my vids, and I'll play them and not realise I'm playing. I'm like, is this brother talking sense? Oh shit, it's me. Like, no one's there, people. Sometimes I listen to myself, but generally I find it cringy. You can ask my family members, the man them, work colleagues. Anytime they play my stuff and I'm there, I tell them to turn it off. I support them, but I don't like it, man. So yeah. Antonio has said, thanks for another question. The sporting director of Dortmund, Zorc, said they have a subdivision which is called Top Talent Scouting. He sends special scouts to all youth tournaments, identifying the next stars of tomorrow. I'm sure many clubs do the same, especially Arsenal, but why is it so difficult for Arsenal to get these talents? We're never proactive, and it looks like that assessment of our talents is not the best. I always had the feeling that the scouting department and management department don't work on the same wavelength. Do you see any room for improvement in this regards? Well, there's always room to improvement, because for me, I see no reason why Arsenal should not be doing what Chelsea's doing, dominating at youth level. A pipeline bursting to the brim of talent that can make it to that first team. You know, Reece James, Billy Gilmore, obviously bought from Rangers, and a couple of these players like Callum Hudson-Odoi was once of Charlton. But do you know what I'm saying? They're sourcing the best talent locally and abroad and whatnot. And Billy Gilmore's the latest one. You've obviously had Loftus-Cheek, you've had the Tomoris, you've got the Reece Jameses, and you've got the Mounts, and bare other than players that, you know, that could go and play. Obviously, certain players are not always going to make it. They are going to lose people, like with Lamperty. But first and foremost, they're getting real good players that can help them in the first team. You got to remember how much experience these players get, because Tomori had a decent loan at Derby, Mount had a loan, James done his thing at Wigan. So how much experience did that help them going into it? But I see no reason why we shouldn't do what Chelsea's doing. And I always say it in all my vids, and I always see your username, so I know you always hear me say this. Could you imagine if Chelsea woke up one day and said, F this, we're selling all these young players? How much is Tammy Abraham going? Because he's arguably 60 million plus player now. How much is Mount going for? You'd probably argue 50 minimum. Billy Gilmore's probably worth a 15-20 just from the couple of games he's played and rising. A Manfadu, after that performance against Spurs, who's not either looking at Chelsea, how much can he go for? Tomori probably go for 50 in today's day and age as well. Reece James probably off because he's not really his first season. I'd probably say anything from 20 to 40, maybe 50 if he can get shagged. But you get the point. Crap loads of money. So that gives them players that can play for the first team, or players that can be sold, and allow them to identify quality additions. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be doing that. There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing like the Chelsea thing. There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing the Dortmund thing. There's always room for improvement. We should be trying to get these Highlands and these players before they blow, especially if we ain't got peas. We can't get everyone. Certain countries do have it easier because, you know, certain legislations and work permits and all these funny red tape things. But yeah, there's definitely work to be done, Carl. What top talents do we have? We got Martinelli, but how much man we missed out on because of that? We always are going to miss out. You can't get everybody, but how much players? Do you get it? We need to do this thing. And today, in today's age, you could also say, are we able to convince these players? Because nothing's a secret. Everybody knows everybody. Martinelli must look like he come out of nowhere, but you look at it, he's had trials at Barcelona and United before they took a chance. Football's a funny game of opinions, so we will miss players, and everybody knows everyone. But it's about what can we do to convince these players? How better can we judge these players? Because someone at Barcelona and United has to be asking or pointing fingers at, boy, how did we miss this one? Because he's on our doorstep. How did we miss this one? And it goes for Arsenal, you know. Gnabry, Marlon, Benassia, Jeffrey Adelaide even, but I'd say the first three are three genuine first team players I thought could have happened. Musa's left, and a couple of you might not know about him, but he went to Valencia. He didn't sign a scholarship here. I think he's one we're going to regret in a couple of years. So it is what it is. There's always work to be done, my guy. There's always more we could be doing. Timbuktu has said, DG, would you rather sign Upamecano and make no midfield additions, sign Partey, and make no centred half additions? It's a sticky one. Still, either or, but I'd probably say the second option, my dude. Ridwan has said, who do you think should be sold in the summer and who would you replace them with? Love from Finland again, my G. I have to be shameless. Apologies, my guy, Ridwan, but I have to be shameless. I've done this video before. Please go and check it out. I don't remember the title, but just browse through. You will find what you're looking for. If I had to, how can I kind of answer your question? Players who I think should be sold, I think you have to make a decision on Bukayo Saka's future because of the contract. Aubameyang because of the contract, Lacazette because of the contract 2022, Mustafi, Socrates, Luiz, Mkhitaryan, Ozil 2021. These are the players we've got to sort out. Of course, I hope Saka and Aubameyang stay, but we've got decisions to make. There's players with 18 months and obviously 2 years technically in 2022. The contracts are running out, but it's all fun and it's cool when it's 2 or 3. We could list the starting 11, maybe not in the same positions they play, but as probably a starting 11 of players whose contracts are in doubt. Even young Eddie Nketiah, he might not be setting the world alight necessarily at Arsenal, but his contract's the same length as Lacazette. In terms of retaining his value, in terms of potential uncertainty and all these sort of things, what are we doing in that regards, my dude? So, yeah, man. Love for your question. Moving forward, we've got some other ones. I think via Twitter. No, this ain't Twitter, this is YouTube. Zach said, your thoughts on Ndombele at the moment? Is the transition from Liga to the Premier League that big of a mountain? I think about Pepe's adaptation and Saliba's incoming arrival. I just think as fans we're too easy to judge. Of course, I don't necessarily say the fast-paced business, but the sheer volume of Premier League, everyone's trying to clamp you and stuff is a culture shock. I think Ndombele is a good player, but I have to fight for his future to convince Jose and change opinion. And he's got to do more because as good as I think he is, to see 0 sprints in the first half as a footballer, you playing granddad football, what's going on there, man? Eating too much jerk chicken and rice and them thing there. So, yeah. You've also said, how do you think Saka would fare if he was given the opportunity in the 10 role? I think he's an intelligent player. He'd do all right, but I don't think the 10 position is his. It's a winger or a fullback for me. But what do I know? Nketiah said, forgive me, you said easy for 20 million is a no-brainer, right? Yeah, you could give a chance to him. Yeah, pardon me. In today's day and age, I've seen players go, players who are worse, go for more. Jibs has said, who do you think Arsenal will sign next season in terms of the table and the club in general? How do I know, my guy? I don't know, my dude. Sorry, not sign. You said, where do you think Arsenal will be next season? I don't know. I believe in Arteta, but is he going to be given additions? I don't know. So, seeing is believing. I will visit that one day in August. I'm not a fortune teller, my dude. Love for the question, though. The King has said, if you had to take any player from any team to play in your chosen position, who would it be? By the way, it could be anyone. Well, I was a right back, so I'd say Trent Alexander-Arnold first and foremost. I'd say Semedo or Barcelona, really. I'd say they're the two as fullbacks, the first that come to mind. I'd love both of them at my club, especially with question marks over the right back position. Papyrus said, what's changed about Harvey Barnes that's allowed him to turn it around? I don't know, man. I think Harvey Barnes has been a decent player. One thing I think of when I think of him, he might not be the most blessed technically, but he's not a bad player. And he's just someone that's resilient. You can tell he never gives up. So that good things happen for you in life if you do that. Matthew has said, do you think we can / will make the top 4/5 this season? I'll always have hope, but my honest opinion is we'll fall short. Mitch has said, what do you think is our best lineup at the moment? Apologies, my dude, but I've more or less answered that question earlier. I apologise, but nonetheless, thank you for your question. Nine has said, I mean, if it was nines, I'd say nines. Why are you asking questions? You should be investing in DG. But Nine has said, respect, bro. Of Nelson, Saka, Willock and Nketiah, who do you believe has the highest ceiling and what's left for them to work on? As always, keep up the good work, bro. Thank you very much for your question. I think Saka personally... Individually, I think Eddie, just from being at the Emirates, I think he's worked on his hold-up play and just being involved more, being less of just standing with the centre-halves and dropping deeper and things. I think he's got stronger. For someone who's not the biggest, he's starting to win flick-ons and put his body about. So it's just down to him to keep improving. End of the day, goals change games. So I think he's got to stay slightly calmer, because there was one effort. Who did we play recently at the Emirates? I can never remember the team name. VAR helped us. Whoever it was, evaded me. There's one effort. Eddie, it's like playing playground football. It's like the rebound effort. The angles are too wide. Why are you trying to shoot from there? It's like cool off, get your head up, and try to pick a teammate out. So it sounds silly, but making the right decisions, goals and assists, and also trying to affect the game without scoring as a striker. You need to score goals, but many people won't see that. Many people won't see what you do when you're not, but he needs to do that. I'd say Joe Willock, if he's going to play in the 10 role under Arteta, improve his final ball, improve the positions he gets on the ball, improve his decision making. For Saka, I think Saka's got the highest ceiling if I haven't said it. Goals and assists for Saka. I'd actually say improve defensively. Like, he's doing a blinder there, but he's not perfect. Nelson, goals and assists, and I'd say for Nelson, out of all of them the most, I'd probably say decision making, getting your head up and making the right decisions. He's not a flash pony, but you don't want to be a player for seasons in, seasons out. We're looking at, he's got ability, but is he able to get these goals and assists? So yeah, that's what I believe with all of them, if you ask me my opinion, my dude. Moving away from that though, and what other questions have we got? Diabolical has said, apologies, I'm making sure I'm not missing anyone else out. Diabolical has said, do you think that Jose is a dinosaur, as all the media say? And do you think he's still a great coach? Listen, it's Jose Mourinho. It's like Arsene Wenger. I never disrespect him. Jose Mourinho is a hallmark of Premier League football. And these journalists saying that a man's finished and all these things, I'm not going to get into it. But, Jose is a hallmark of football. I wouldn't agree with being a dinosaur. I don't think it's disrespectful like I thought with Wenger, but potentially the game has passed him with some of his tactics, some of his particular management of players, allegedly. So I'd say that. Aaron has said, how many original ideas do you think Arteta has incorporated into the team yet? As in the ones that Pep didn't use at City? And have you seen signs of Arteta being a good tactician yet? I think Arteta's already shown that. Look how he's improved the left-hand side. Look how he's improved the individual players. And if he hasn't improved them and he's found a system to mark their incapabilities, that's what I was crying for Emery to install. So he is a good tactician. I do think my only criticism of Arteta is he takes a bit long with the subs. So I think he's a great tactician. I wouldn't necessarily... Again, beyond the fact that he's been under Pep and, naturally he's Spanish, there's going to be a lot of things that they both played for certain teams and been under certain brands. There's going to be similarities, but in terms of things he's copied, I don't know. I don't know what he's copied. Like Pep said, he's nothing more than an idea thief. That's what Pep said about him. He said the best coaches steal ideas, and obviously you need to have your own opinion, your own outlook, but you've got to be open. So I mean, if Pep Guardiola, a man Champions League, is on that and said that, then who is anyone else? But really, I don't know until he tells me what until he comes out with some insight. I don't know. Maxwell said, do you think Ainsley has a future at Arsenal? In terms of ability, yeah. In terms of recent reports, application, and, we ain't got time for players that are not fully motivated, then I'd say no, it's in the balance. And it's simply down to him. One has said, is there anything about Mikel Arteta that concerns you? Just forever taking the subs, really. That's about it. Daniel said, do you think Aubameyang can be an Arsenal legend? Yeah, if he stays, scores goals, and keeps doing what Aubameyang is about, then of course he can. What other questions have we got? Chino has said, rank these in terms of importance in the squad in the summer, and who would you personally like to see us sign in all positions? I've been over who I'd like us to personally sign, but in terms of a priority of a defensive mid, box-to-box midfielder, a quality 8 or 10 who creates chances, and a commanding centre-half, Centre half, priority. You can have all the great attackers you want if you can't defend. An 8 and a box-to-box midfielder for me are of equal importance. So I'd say that's second. A 10, all of them are equally important, but I'd say if you were pushing me for the areas that I decided and money could go so far, I'd more want to address the spine, because a 10 and a creative man and a, you know, these players, they're the creme de la creme. They're, you know, you get everything sorted. They're the dessert sort of thing. So I'd say that first and foremost. Isaac Tyrone has said there's been reports that Laka is interested in a move to Atletico Madrid. Would you consider a swap deal with Thomas Partey? Yes, I would, if it could happen. Philip has said, what do you think of Charlie Nicholas' comments on Arsenal finishing in the top 2 in 2 seasons' time? That's good for him. I can't predict the future. I'd hope he's right, my guy, but I don't know. I don't know, my guy. Omer said, with it being most likely that we won't spend in the summer, what's the way forward for this football club? Giving Arteta time, giving him funds, allowing him to implement his football. Planet X has also said, do you think people completely disregard consistency when classing people as world class? Yeah, bro. People just like skills and 5-second clips, and that. People don't know what world class means. I used to throw it around. World class is a serious term, and it's not a disrespect if a player is not world class, but yeah, it is what it is, man. I definitely think you're right with that. Anthony has said, yo, DG, big up my guy. Of the current crop of academy players that haven't made their first team debut, in your opinion, who looks to have the most potential? Well, I don't know for most potential, but if you was to ask me players that I think are on the right track to getting their debuts, I think Ben Cottrell, I think Sam Greenwood, I think Balogun, I think Harry Clark deserves an opportunity based on how he's playing. I'm not saying man are going to make it, but I think that. I'm a big fan of Charlie Patino. I think he's got potential to be a first teamer. I think Miguel Aziz does. We've got to be patient. They've both got a lot of things to work on, but I'd say them. With a lot of the under-16s have a lot of genuine potential. So I'd say them really. I'd say them. So yeah, I don't think I'm missing out any questions. I think we've got to the end, people. And that was a lovely Q&A. A tiring one, but oh no, you see it's a tiring one, but we're not done yet. Igel has said, do you think football could become positionless where everyone is interchangeable? Like at Sheffield United, where the centre-back can play left-back, centre-mid and left wing in one game, depending on phases of play. Well, you never know. You could have more of a fluid team, but it's down to how intelligent the team is, really and truly. And